You should see us, but I'll tell you why in just a minute. I'm fighting a bad cold. So anyway, you should see the format and the notes about how this call operates. And as we go along, Jack and I will share any visuals as needed.
And as you're getting logged in and settled, Jill and I wanted to share some silly stuff.
Well, here's what's funny.
Well,
So,
some ironic,
some
helpful stuff.
ironic. I want to make sure everyone can see our agenda. So that's really good. And I'm giving you some time to put in some questions here. Great. I'm glad you could see. I'm going to scroll down so you could see our agenda here. The video, normally it's video and you could see us, but today we're not doing video. We're making a few changes, and I have a bad cold, so
Jill is totally showing up for this.
I am. I'm going with
She's legitimately not feeling well for the first time.
I know.
Since I can remember.
Thank you. This is my raspy Demi Moore voice, so let's see how it goes.
You don't hate it.
Thanks. So Jack and I were supposed to go to an all-day in Glendale REI event yesterday. It looked pretty interesting with a lot of LA investors, and so had the whole day planned out, getting up early, making a big event out of the whole thing and I wake up feeling like awful. So so what ended up happening was, of course, we called it, and I said, you know what? Enough of this anyway. We need to do our own live events. Everybody keeps asking for us. Everybody's talking about it. So I'm here to tell you right now, this group, you get advance notice. It's coming. So we're starting with a few smaller meetup events. And I'm starting with this month here, February 22nd, everybody. If you're not in Meetup or you don't know what Meetup is, go get in there and you'll find us. And it's under Land Investors. So that's a new site that we have coming to, by the way, landinvestors.com. So February 22nd, here in Hermosa Beach will be our first meetup. I'm gonna post it later today, and it's going to be $40 to the general public, but free to all of our people, because that's how we roll.
Yeah.
So just
all of our
people, and that's you. So
you people.
This is not a get on an airplane, fly to town event. So let me just tell you, it's going to be a short, small thing as Jack and I get some just get our speaking hats back on and get back in the groove, and this is building to our yes, you will want to fly into town event, which will be coming. So just a heads up. So that's why we didn't go to the event yesterday, and now it just forced us to do our own, and we're not messing around. So anything you want to add to that, Jack?
No, we're not saying don't come, because it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah.
And it's obviously free if you're in town.
Exactly.
We're doing one in Los Angeles and one in Scottsdale at some point.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna do Scottsdale in March.
2 cities every other month, or whenever Jill decides we're going to do it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much up to me. No. So, so it's going to be really, really cool. But yeah, anyone within driving distance of LA, you probably will want to come on Wednesday, February 22nd, because it should be really fun.
I mean, in any event, even if you have no intention of coming, it'd be great if you could just go into Meetup and just join the group.
Oh,
because it's a place where we announce all the live event stuff first. And I'm not saying we're going to leave Land Academy out or the websites or any of the announcements left out of that by any stretch. It's just yet another place to get information.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, so now hopefully I give you guys, thank you.
Drive from Japan. It's awesome.
Drive from Japan? Who said that?
Joel.
This is awesome. Okay, good. You know what? We will have one, Joel, where you might want to fly, so it's all good.
Yeah.
um, That's funny. So now we're going to get into the main event, which is Q of A. It was your questions, our answers, and then we're going to wrap it up just before 4 with Jack's for our time. Certainly not Joel's time or David's time.
In about an hour from now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll wrap it up with it's land investors.
Land investors.
Yeah, look for land investors. It says LA and it says Scottsdale, and you will see our photos pop up. We'll wrap it up with Jack's tip of the week.
Hey, we just got that .com too. You're the first to know.
We did.
Land investors.
I know. I'm gonna scroll back up here and see if we have any questions that we're missing.
We don't.
We don't. Okay, good. So sorry about that. Can you fix that, Jack?
I can't.
Oh no, I did that. Sorry about that squiggly line. I don't know what that is on the screen. That was me. All right, so I'm gonna dive in, and we need to move up here in just a second and fix and do some questions. Hang on a second. I'm gonna answer some questions, but I need to scroll. Sorry, I can't see. I'm gonna guess. What's the best resource or website to learn about deeds? Hang on a second here.
That's the first question.
Okay, what's the best resource or website to learn about deed titles, joint tenants, tenants in common?
There's a great graph that a title company put together. We're going to move on. Joel's going to move on to the next question. I'm going to search for it real quick. It's a cool kind of an if-then scenario. You know, if you're married, then you do this. If you do this, do this. So we'll, I'll try to pull it up actually, and then Joel will run through the next question.
Okay. Joel asks, on Title Pro 24/7, where do we find the actual deed and other specific documents? I don't see anything offered, but that may be specific to my county. It's in the shucks. You know what? I have to look for that too, Joel. You know what? How about this? The best way to answer these questions, where to find specific documents and everything, actually, the easiest thing instead of me going in and showing a screenshot right now, is use Title Pro 24/7 customer support. That's where they're there. They are there. And if you go to your new member guide, remember we pay for X number of free downloads for documents and property detail reports. So good question, and that's what their customer service is there for.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty big part of what you get.
Mm-hmm.
You get full-blown preferred service from both RealQuest and Title Pro.
Mm-hmm. Very good question. Oh, so Claire's asking about the meetup group again. Good. Yep. Land. You guys should find it soon. Land investors. All right. Eric Alvy's asking, oh, is there any way to make the image on Jack's screen? I'm not sure. I'm gonna let tech people look at that.
I mean, that's as focused as it's going to get.
Yeah. And maybe on your device, that's the best we could do. All right. Andy Barnhart is asking, after you've purchased property in a county, do you send the neighbors a letter to see if they're interested in buying it, even though you already sent them an offer to buy their property? Great question, Jack. It's one of the things that we do suggest is reaching out to local property owners to see if they're interested.
Oh, I mean,
that's definitely not crazy.
Yes, the larger the property, the more you should actually do this. So, in fact, I just had a call with somebody who did this in New Mexico, one of our members. It was a fairly large ranch, and it turned out he purchased a property from somebody, the estate of somebody who just recently passed away. And then he found the phone number of the person who was listed in the phone book and called the adjacent ranch owner, and he bought it he bought it that day on the spot. So, and he was happy with the price. So yes, if it's a large acreage property and even an infill lot where there's homes on either side. In fact, Joe's brother did that once, I think, bought the property behind him. So
he did. So no one would build.
Nobody could screw up his view.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
So yeah, I think that's a great idea. If it's acreage property or if it's an infill lot, for sure. If it's a smaller lot, kind of out in the urban area, you're not going to have as good of a chance. But the more you get on the phone and interact with people around the area, the more property you're going to end up buying. Mm-hmm. Get your foot ingrained in that environment.
Exactly. When downloading, Chip Fernandez asks, when downloading county data from RealQuest, I'm getting an error message when I enter the land value range. When I do not add the land value, it queries the rest of the record. This is totally a Jack. Is this something on our end, Jack, or is this like a
And I'll
customer
tell you,
service too?
it's like when I own a Volkswagen and I shift into second gear, I get this clinky sound. I mean, it's real hard for me to diagnose slash help you because it's just not in front of me. And but I'll tell you this: with RealQuest and these other relatively sophisticated tools, like Jill said, you got to use the customer service that's there, and you also need to really just horse around with it a lot.
Exactly.
You know, log out, log in. Same thing you do with to try to fix your computer.
Exactly. Some of these questions too, I love how detailed you guys are, but it's hard for us to properly answer and diagnose the issues in this format. But this is also a good thing to throw into success plan too. These are good questions. Anybody else having a little thing? And I think Jordan's actually um, asking this, or is it a follow up? Jordan's asking, I did an actual search on MoQuest since the last call using one of the counties you mentioned in the direct mail lesson. Okay, Luna, with all the same criteria, really just for a test. Only came up with 7 names. Good news is it didn't cost me much. The bad news is it's virtually impossible to get a deal from that amount. It's got to be something you need. There must be something turned on in your criteria that's omitting a bunch of
Yeah,
names.
yeah. It's what I said before.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for anything. You can do a lot of damage in RealQuest without paying a cent.
Hmm.
You have to make sure that those sorts are working. Luna County, there's 2 huge subdivisions there, tens of thousands of properties, each of them. So, um, again, horse around with it as much as you can.
I want to piggyback on something that Jack said that I put in our newsletter last week. If you're not reading our newsletter, I want to make sure I want to draw your attention to the newsletter because I put a lot of really good, valuable, well thought out information in there. And I went to Jack last week and I said, okay, I need a tip of the week. Tell me something that keeps coming up. And this is it. He's like, you know what? Everyone needs to plan a couple hours.
Oh
He
yeah,
said one, but really it's probably a couple hours. I mean,
it's fun.
the access of the amount of information we all have at our fingertips is astronomical. You are not going to be a pro overnight. You're not going to get a quick cheat sheet. We've done our
You're
best to
not going
show
to be a
you,
pro overnight.
right? Thank you. But no, it was really good advice. Jax, you're going to sit down and really start to horse around. If you only get 7 names, now you know something's wrong. Okay,
Yeah,
now you need to go through and you need to spend some time, uncheck this box and check this box. There's probably something in there. Maybe you accidentally put an assessed value of $1. You know what I mean? And that's why only 7 popped up.
or maybe their data's wrong.
I mean,
That's more likely. This data is only as good as what the assessor puts in. So the more rural you get, and Luna County is pretty rural as it goes. They may have filled out the whole thing in the wrong column. So you just really have to kind of take the attitude that you're in charge and that you're going to get to it no matter what it takes.
mhm, that's really good. Ben says, been buying and selling on the program,
Yeah,
yay, for over
Ben
a
Hughes. Yeah,
year. Hi, Ben. Under my new LLC. When would you recommend starting up the next LLC to limit risk?
I can only tell you what we do. We flesh out LLCs about every 2 years, and then there's always leftover property. Hey, by the way, it's legal and totally okay to convey property after you've turned an LLC off. Let's say somebody, for whatever reason, some stuff got wrong, something got out of order in the title chain, not to no fault of yours. You still can convey property. So every 2 years we flush out LLCs, and then Jill and I each have LLCs, and we kind of decide when properties come in and go out. Who gets this one and who gets that one. Some of it's for tax reasons, some of it's for liability reasons. So we don't I don't have unless there's other partners, parallel LLCs running at one time for just land. We have a different one for houses and things like that. So that's totally a personal preference. I'm not a crazy risk person. Some people are. So you're a pretty bright guy, Ben. You know exactly what to do, I bet. Probably more than me. I mean it.
um, Brian Jens asks, simple question. When researching properties in RealQuest and you check off, for example, mobile home park,
Yeah.
but you've also checked off 0% improvements, How can that produce results?
Yeah, so we had this talk with Kathleen like a month ago. This is a very, very good question because mobile homes are not real property, they're personal property. So it's very strange, and I bet you a dollar most assessors don't really know how to deal with it or planning and zoning. So a mobile home is personal property, and so if you slap one down on a piece of dirt without any slab there or anything, it's not going to show up. It's going to still show up as a zero improvement situation. The only hope that you can have is that the person who developed the mobile home park did it properly, pulled the right permits, and told the assessor that they're going to improve the property. They're going to bring utilities to each pad and on and on and on. So um, that gets to be a little bit strange, this mobile home thing. I tell you, you might want to have a talk before you send a campaign out with planning and zoning to see what the deal is.
Mhm.
By the way, it's worth it because I think Jill and I've talked about it on the show. Mobile homes are maybe the best seller ever. You can buy them really cheap for some reason. I mean, hundreds of dollars, and sell them for thousands and thousands of dollars. Every person who owns a mobile home in an urban area and writes a $300 check every month for the pad fee, it's killing them. They dream of when they can just put the mobile home on someplace, and it might be just that, a dream, where they don't have to write that check, and that just gets them out free and clear. So stay down that path. It's a
Mhm.
great specialization.
I'm going to read Joel or Brian's follow-ups. If you enter 0 to 0% improvements, doesn't it only result in vacant lots
It should.
in mobiles?
That
Okay.
that is absolutely the theory. And again, uh, we pick where we mail data, a lot of it, based on how good the quality of the quality of the data in the county. So yes, the answer is yes. If you put zero in, it should be a vacant property.
Okay. He's also said, I'm told no county will any longer approve mobile home parks for revenue reasons. And so even if it's zoned for a mobile home park, but there's no development, yet it would seem that it's going nowhere.
I have to disagree.
Yeah.
If it's zoned mobile home and you purchase it, let's say it's 40 acres and it's zoned for mobile home park, I think you're going down a fantastic path. If not anything else, get control of the property, get equitable title, and find the other guys that own the mobile home parks in the other areas of the county, and I bet they'd be extremely interested in talking to you.
Mhm. Good job. All
I
right.
in chapter 5 where I do the whole sort, I leave mobile homes in always
Cool.
as a land use.
Okay. Joel was answering a question to Jordan. Okay. Jason asks, how would you get pictures of the property if it's snowy weather?
Yeah.
Love it. This is
Well,
great. This is
you could.
coming out in the newsletter today about photos, and one of them is no snow. I mean, if you can
Oh,
do,
really?
yeah,
Is that
that's
what
one
you
of the
said?
things. Well, it's on the list of things to not include, which is, we don't want, you don't want snow on the ground, but snow off in the distance and a beautiful view of snowy,
Yeah.
like the Rocky Mountains behind the property and they have snow on them, great. But snow on the ground on your land, not so great. So,
I come from snow, and Jill doesn't, and she has a romantic idea of what snow is, and there's no such thing for people who come from snow.
right.
You don't want a picture of a guy shoveling brown snow that weighs 10 tons, having half of a heart attack.
I think Jason answered the question himself. He said, would you wait until the weather clears in the spring? No.
No,
Would you
yeah,
pull general area pictures from Google? Yes.
yes, and real be you got to be or pull them from the program because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of program.
Yeah, if it's one of our counties and it looks similar on Google Earth, use ours.
Yeah,
That's really, really good. Jason, why no snow? On the states where it really snows, like looking at pictures of snow. I get it. I know. Ben, you get snow. You get ice. I know where Ben is. So, it is pretty sometimes.
no,
That's
it's not.
true. Okay.
I've had enough snow for the rest of my life.
Right. Michael says, I was researching property on Title Pro. The latest owner obtained the property from her husband's estate. However, the previous transaction shows that the owner sold the property to another person. I think this is a clear break in title. Should I stay away from this property? Can you briefly describe how you use requests to send offers to owners for houses? Cool.
So that's two questions, right?
Yep.
Go ahead and take the first one. I'll take
Okay,
the
so
second one.
the latest owner obtained the property from her husband's estate, but it shows that he already sold it to somebody else. Yeah, so he may have sold it. She hadn't seen that or wasn't aware of that somehow, and then she had it re-recorded in her name. something's got to be figured out. So,
Well, he sold the property when he was still alive, and
and
she
didn't tell her.
and got the money. Didn't tell her, bought a drum set. She didn't know where it came from. He told her it came from Goodwill.
Yeah.
Does it sound familiar? You're not even
Oh
listening to me. You're
no,
not even
okay.
listening. That's
I
hilarious.
am, but I'm trying to think of the question. And wait, in my defense, I'm not feeling good. Will
I
you
know,
please? You
sweetheart. I'm
go,
just trying to make you laugh.
go.
Oh, you don't feel good.
Thank you.
No, that's you. You if that property, either run it through title and find out really what's going on and make sure it economically works, or walk away.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big red flag. All kidding aside.
He may have sold it and then she
Yeah.
didn't know it.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
thought she put it in her name or thought she acquired it and she didn't. So,
Right.
and then offers to owners for houses.
Yeah. So offers to owners is exactly what all of you have right now. If you have the program, you have it. It's very simply this: a subscription to RealQuest Pro, just like you have, and access to printing, just like you have. But it's geared toward, with a little bit of education, geared toward using the data the way that we use it to look up by zip code. It's geared toward home flippers who don't want to really. Jill and I talk to a ton of people that are involved in real estate all the time, sometimes in person, sometimes online. And there's a huge number of house flippers that want access to the data but they don't want anything part of this land situation, which I don't understand, but it is what it is. Offer to owners is for them. You already have all this stuff and the education and 10 times more than offer to owners it's not any different.
So in other words, answer in RealQuest, you check different boxes, and you can get pretty specific in RealQuest with your property search and your search criteria, even down to 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Do you want with a pool, without a pool, size of the
Yeah.
lot? It's pretty awesome in RealQuest what you have at your fingertips.
And then, you got to calculate. We don't do it per acre. Obviously, I don't cost it out per acre or send the mailers out as an offer price. I only do it per square foot. So, and that's kind of what we're going to, the offers to owners logical user is somebody who already flips houses and they're tired of trying to find houses in the MLS. And they're tired of talking to brokers. That's what it's for. But everybody who, as a Land Academy member, you will receive all of that for no additional charge at all. And when it gets all released, you'll be the first to know.
Got it. All
It's
right.
shocking how easy it is.
Hey, thank you, Kathleen, for sharing this note. She said about her experiences great with mobile home parks. In some counties, the mobile home records show up in the assessor's data, even though they are personal property. So the mobile home will show up as a separate APN, typically a derivative
That's
of
right.
the land APN, like an -A, along with the APN for the land. Thank you for sharing
That's
that.
exactly right. And sometimes I know in Arizona, in some counties, it's a afterthought because now some of them are in the DMV database, and it gets complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But none of that should stop you from mailing mobiles. Mobiles are a great thing to get a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
Mobile lots, I mean.
Exactly. Jordan Solomon said, you talked about a service called LetterStream last week and in your updated new member guide. Yep, it's there. Is this an alternative replacement to Click to Mail? Yes, if you want to spend 80 cents a mailer, go to Click to Mail. If you want to spend 49 cents a mailer, use LetterStream.
We never use Click to Mail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never been
It's
part
too
of our
expensive.
program. It's an alternative replacement for ITI.
Yeah.
In Pasadena. So it's much cheaper, and the customer service and the back end software is much more sophisticated.
It's designed for us. I mean, literally designed for us. And the discount and the pricing is only for us. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathleen said, no, snow just sucks. Unless you have a board strapped to your feet. I have to share, I'm going to New York. Everyone on Tuesday, I'm going to be there for a week for New York Fashion Week.
It's not my problem.
I know, but it's supposed to snow.
I was invited and I said, what?
No. My neighbor is a designer and she's showing a line. So that's why I'm going. Anyway, it's supposed to snow when I arrive. So anyone in New York, think of me next Tuesday, or anyone back in the snow. I'll be right there with you, freezing my rear off. Michael Alon, I got a call from a seller who has a 2-acre parcel as a vacant piece of land. It's probably worth around $2,500. Love it. However, the owner has added a shed.
Yeah.
Whoa. water tank, power, and a 3-chamber septic. I think it cost him 10K, if
Yeah,
not more. How would you value these added improvements? That's a
I
great
would add $1 to $2,500. That's what I would do. So 2501. No, if he's
Yeah.
not kidding. If he wants to sell the property, ask him. This is what I do in this situation. If you'd like to sell the property, please sign it. Sign the offer
Hmm.
because we have lots more coming in.
Yeah, it's impossible to sit there and calculate and adjust for that and how you're going to remarket it and everything. I just roll it in like normal.
So I haven't said this in a while, but one of the reasons that our business model works very, very well is because we don't look too deeply into each individual property. In fact, we don't look into it almost at all, almost ever, beyond access. I don't. I think our staff does now a little bit more than we have before, but and this is one of those intuitive things that you have to unlearn. I know it's difficult, but we're in the flipping business. We're not in the analysis business. So spend time analyzing data and not the actual piece of real estate. I mean, congratulations. That's great that that guy put that stuff on there. But as far as you're concerned, it's still just worth the same amount. In fact, I would even argue that these little antics and improvements, theoretical improvements, really complicate the deal. I was involved in a deal recently where there was a full blown functioning gas well on the property, and all it did was delay the deal. So, you know, don't look too far into this and have these huge, deep conversations with these people. What you want to do is send enough mail out so people are signing the offers and sending them back, and you're just calling to confirm the closing. That's really what this is all about, right, Joe?
Perfect. Thank you. Volume. Think volume. Brian Gent said, I'm loving this group. Thank you, Brian. Quick question. Can you say something about taxes and flipping vacant lots? How much to set aside for taxes when flipping vacant land? Are capital gains the same as with developed properties?
Yeah. So it turns out, and I can only tell you how we do it, and it's passed all the tests for the last since the '90s. This is our primary business, so we treat it as ordinary income. I think that if you flipped one or two properties a year and you have a regular job, in the end, you're going to have to ask your accountant and make sure that they're comfortable with it and it's going to pass IRS tests. We treat everything as ordinary income because it's our full-time job. We could spend hours talking about capital gains, and the Internal Revenue Code intentionally has vague stuff about it, in my opinion, like
Mhm.
everything.
And when you're talking about, I mean, I guess your taxes, you're talking about those taxes, not talking about the property taxes,
Right.
I'm assuming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ben Hughes said, I get postcards on my rental all the time. Love it. But never with a dollar offer on any kind. Isn't that hilarious? Well, by my next rental, the offer's to owner's way, right?
Yeah.
Totally. It's exactly right. It's funny. I love the mail that I get, and it's just cracks me. I save it for research, and it's kind of just to laugh at. It's kind of funny
Isn't
sometimes.
that amazing?
I know. My favorite are the "Don't lose your property" ones. I'm like, because that's just not cool. I
I know
know.
that makes you so
It makes
mad.
me so mad because somewhere there's a little old lady who is
I know.
freaking out,
That's right.
opening this letter that the police is going to come and knock on her door or something
That's not
horrible
cool.
and ask for money.
Not cool at all.
I agree. Nick, hi, Nick Slager asked, I tried $100 an acre for unimproved land in Coconina County. It's so pretty there. Flagstaff. 2.5 to 5 acres for $500. Got around 25 responses, most indicating I was nowhere near their sales price. I was thinking that. After 3 weeks of no calls and no deals so far, any suggestions on how I could have gotten a better response?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're the second person this week that has brought this exact topic up, and I spent a tremendous amount of time with the first person. Um, I'm going to please retain this, everyone. This $100 an acre scenario works for a lot of places, but it doesn't work for every place. So you remember in the program I said you would ever consider sending out $100 an acre offer in Manhattan, New York. You just wouldn't. That's insane. Well, the same is true with every single other county, and I guess I wasn't ultra clear about it. Um, yeah, I agree. Coconino it's too low. You have to look at the comparison values, the sold values there, or anywhere in any county, and the lowest listed price, like we talk about in the program. So $100 an acre. This is the sentence. $100 an acre is not appropriate everywhere by any stretch, but this does work in every single market in this country. The variable is pricing. It does work in Manhattan, but you're going to break it down by office building probably if you're in the southern part of the island or the borough, and you're going to do it by per square foot like we do with houses. So the pricing, the concept, everyone's grasping the concept very well. You send out a lot of offers for everything, and it's working. The variable is price. So if you went into like Central Florida, $100 an acre wouldn't work either. Northern Michigan, $100 an acre is not going to work. So you really have to spend a lot of time pricing this stuff and pricing it correctly.
Thank you, Jordan, and you're right. Because back then, he said, just for the record, we did talk about click to mail in the video.
Yeah.
And it was just using a system, not doing it yourself. And that was way before we had what we have now.
We're in the
I
process.
mean, we didn't have any of the tools that we offer now when we record the program.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't even have, we weren't licensed providers of the data back then. We just put it together. So Jill and I are in the process of updating, updating the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any questions about any of that stuff, let us know on Success Plan or any of it.
Exactly.
The best way to deal with any of these issues, like if you're going to send a mailer out in Coconino County for $100, before you do it, please schedule a call with me and we'll talk about it. Or go on a Success Plan, ask some of the senior guys if they think it's a good idea or a bad idea. Really ask as many people that you can, and that's why we have this whole support system. You know, I'm not going to say you're not going to make any mistakes because you are, but you know, try to minimize them by asking all of us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
However, we can't. I'm not going to say, oh, $138 an acre is how you do Coconino. I don't even know that without really going through all the motions of checking to see.
Mm-hmm.
There's no hard. Unfortunately, there's not a schematic on how to do this. If there is one, Kathleen's got it because that's how she rolls.
That's true. I love it. That's so good. All right. Oh, thank you. Got some good comments here. Thanking Jason Walters about letter stream. I just got a nice email from somebody. Shoot, Jean.
I love reading that and laughing.
Jean's on this. Hi, Jean. I got a nice email from Jean too about letter stream the other day and just how helpful they were. They knew right away who our people were and the mock-ups and all kinds of good stuff. So I'm really glad. We're so happy that everybody's
I have not heard a negative thing about LetterStream. If anybody has anything to say, please email me because I really would like to go back to them and say, you guys need to fix this or something. Mm-hmm. I can't just be that happy with them.
Thank you. Luke said he did buy a house. He bought a house for $300. But it may be a trailer for $300.
Even better.
Anything different I should do? Figure sell it and make it the buyer's problem. Make it the buyer's asset. I mean, seriously, it has something on it. We joke about this, Luke, that we're going to go, we have half joking, half seriously seeing these really cheap people want to get rid of them trailers and go put them on our properties.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, and take pictures and say, here you go.
First thing I'd do on that, Luke, is I'd go to Craigslist and also Facebook, and I would try to bring it in Facebook. You can for sure post it in the zip code and zip code market it and tell the real story. I'm in the land business. Here's my website. I inadvertently bought this house. I'd really like to just pass it on to you. It's not my thing, and it costs $5,000, and you can have it. And I bet you're going to get like 7 million people, 7 million A-list buyers for houses in that market.
Luke said, should I add lead paint to my disclosures? Nice. That's so good. And thank you, Jerry. I'm coming from California now. It's going to be a huge wake-up call when I get off. Jack's laughing at me.
I did a video a long time ago when the kids were little of peeling paint off with when they were really little, taking a scraper and peeling paint off and licking it just to see if there's any lead in there.
Dude,
I don't even think Jill knows about it.
That's awful. No, yeah, put that video on your thing. My kid licked the wall. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. He's fine. He's real healthy. He gets good grades.
Oh my God, thank you. Oh, you guys are awful.
They had a blast doing it.
Thanks a lot. Oh, everybody's winging. This is so good. Sell the land to figure if they get the house or trailer or not. There you go. Letterstream's great. You can check multiple proofs. Great if you're mailing more than one county at a time. Also, no minimum order. Isn't that awesome? You can stagger your mailers, manage volume. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Joel. Warning may be
Yeah,
inhabited or an old meth lab.
yeah.
Oh my
You got to be careful of
gosh.
that.
This is so good. Okay, where I see some nice comments about some pricing. I'm going to move on. Do you sell? Luke asks, do you pay self-employment tax on this when doing ordinary income tax?
Well, see, again, you got to ask your. It all depends on how you. If you take the S corp election when you incorporate, there's pros and cons to all of it. And the real answer is that we have multiple LLCs. Sometimes they're S corp election. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're Schedule D, I think it is, where you do the expenses that way. But I'm going to tell you honestly, uh, we do not maximize tax efficiency, believe it or not. And we always have W-2 income, always, whether it be even 12,000 or 15 or $20,000 a year. We always, Jill and I, take a W-2, tiny little paycheck out of everything,
Mm-hmm.
just for a lot of reasons. But that's just how we roll. So no matter what it is, there's paying some employment tax. You're paying payroll taxes. So
Exactly.
I think if I really sat down, and I come from this background, and made it my mission in life to pay as little tax as possible, I probably could save some money, but that's just not the focus of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't pay top dollar, but I don't try to avoid it. We structure it properly and we pay our share.
And I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, Jack.
Hmm.
Michael Allen's question. If not, I know that RealQuest customer service can tell us. Is there a way to load APNs for data retrieval
In
in
RealQuest,
RealQuest?
you mean like load APNs, like download a list of 50 and then pull the rest of the data for that? I don't think that you can. No, it's not a two-way communication device. You can't upload like 30 APNs and then get all the rest of the data. But in Title Pro, you might be able to.
Yeah, because
I
I've
think
done
you do
batch
actually.
stuff in Title Pro
Actually, but in
24/7. I
Title Pro,
do.
you can. I know you can.
Yeah, so it depends on what you're looking for, Michael. Like
Like
that.
you want to know the owner of these 30 APNs or something like that, or like let's say you got a backtax list of 500, backtax APNs, and you want to pull the owner data. Title Pro would be better for that.
Right.
I'm guessing. I mean, I'm guessing what the question is, but I think it's something like that.
Good. Kathleen got her joke. Good. Luke says, yep. Do you guys do neighbor letters with maps? If so, how effective? If not, is it because of time?
The
What?
Philippines do it
Do
cheap.
it cheap. Just wondering. I'm like, I was going, where's he going with this?
The fact is this: we don't have that much problems selling property, but no, I have in the past contacted owners, that are next to property or adjacent to property or close by, especially when it's a ranch situation and people are there. If it's vacant property, no, but you know,
Exactly. Special sauce for coconino. Totally. Hi, Jean. Third letter stream mailer just left. Nice. Seamless. Wow. We just turned it on. So, Timmy, what were we calling him? The T Man, T Zone. We were having all
hmm
kinds of good stuff for you, Tim. Um, we you must have been on our test group because you're just going crazy here, which is all. Oh, thank you, Michael. Michael's gotten 4 batches. This is fantastic.
yeah,
I love it. Ben Hughes said, "Have you ever tried the Land Academy model to buy land in U.S. territories, i.e.,
that's
St. Croix?"
an interesting. The answer is I have looked into it extensively. Jill and I met with RealQuest 2 weeks ago now with Core Logic at the very tip
Actually,
top.
it was last week.
Oh, was it okay?
Yeah, it was last
They are
Tuesday.
building pretty substantial
Yeah.
databases in New Zealand, Australia, Canada. They don't see a need there because they don't have the insurance clientele that they have here. So we can't get the data quality. When we get the data quality, I'll be the first person to do it. Let me
Mm-hmm.
put it that way. Yeah, exactly, Kathleen. There's not U.S. territories. RealQuest doesn't. RealQuest is driven by the oil and gas industry, and because they need data and they're willing to pay anything for it, as well as the insurance industry. We're just the little real estate people on the side. So when they decide it's time to get into Canada and Australia, they do have Australia. Some of some places in Australia are already filled in, and we'll test it. But I love the idea of international expansion.
Mm-hmm. When we've run out of property.
Canada has this. Yeah, when we burn through the 145 million parcels that we have here in this country.
There we go. So that'll be 2,312. I don't know. At this pace.
I don't know. Luke might have sent every single property letter already. I don't know.
All right. You're right, Michael, and you're right, Joel. They're already. Thank you for helping here. Seems like that for a transaction, the notary signature is only needed for the seller.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes.
Isn't that funny when you really think about it? It's a pretty important document. So you can deed some property and you can deed a piece of property that you own to anyone without their consent. When you really think about that, it's kooks.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. What's so
I don't know.
funny?
My devious thoughts start going on.
Exactly. Yeah. This big high back tax property. I just deeded over to this guy I don't like. Let him deal with these letters. Could you imagine?
God, you're just as messed up as I am.
That would be so awful, but funny.
My sister's in the real estate business, and she's got the real estate agent. Comes from a real estate agent mindset. The first person I love to mess with on stuff like this is her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, what are you talking about? You buy a piece of property for what? And you sell it? That's crazy. She doesn't understand.
Right.
So deeding her property for no reason, I'll test it on her.
Can't believe you haven't already. I should do your sister and I'll do it to my brother.
Okay.
Let's see how the response comes.
My gosh. Look at the White House calling us.
That'd be hilarious. All right. Luke Smith said, I've been researching notary rules and can't find any rules against using my wife as a notary to do deeds.
Can't.
That's
sorry, Luke.
Say don't use the wife. You think
that's your wife is not an unrelated third party. I mean, maybe you might think she is, but she doesn't fall within the definition of an unrelated third party. Really, if you really want to boil it down, I don't think Jill and I follow into that definition either, but we still do it.
But we're not married.
Yeah, but I mean, an unrelated third party is real specific.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like they just have no vested interest in any way in notarizing that signature.
That covers us.
That's what I mean. You know, Luke's wife might too.
Yeah, it depends, Luke. How does your wife feel about this
Luke's
whole
wife
thing?
might have malicious intent.
I could care less. Where do I sign?
Yeah. I'll notarize it on his forehead.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so good. Oh, I love it. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that there was a my business, she's not involved. Well, okay. And I didn't know that in California, I was a notary in California back in the 90s. And I don't remember having to go take a physical test. I think I just did it all, still like filling out forms and sending it in.
Even if it's not a written rule, the whole point to having a notary is to have the person who's notarizing the thing has no vested interest in any way about, the fact that you're signing or didn't sign the document. So,
all right.
I don't know.
Thank you,
Maybe
Kathleen.
get your neighbor to do it or something.
Yeah. In PA, a relative can notarize as long as they don't have any involvement in the purchasing or selling activities. That's Kathleen's.
I still think that
comment.
Your spouse technically owns half everything, so I don't know.
In California, I don't know. All right, 2 questions. Hi, Albert. I want to purchase land for a church. Bought and sold there. Perfect. I'm the signee. We are a 501c3. Any specific way to take title or purchase?
Nope.
Same way?
Same way.
Yeah.
You could say XYZ Church, a nonprofit organization in the state of G or whatever. Or you can just say it's the church.
Yeah. Perfect. She is
501c3 is a tax nonprofit designation you can treat it exactly the way that you treat an LLC. It's an entity that can legally hold property, and the only different designation is that it's taxed differently. Then there's no tax at all. And I'll tell you what the 501, when you do that, you want to make sure you fill out the, well, it turns out there is a difference, I guess. There's an addendum that you can put in, I know in Arizona and California and out west, to make sure that the faster the assessor knows that a nonprofit group owns this piece of property
Oh,
now, you'll
yeah.
never get a tax bill again.
That's
But if you let
right.
them try to figure that out on their own, they won't figure it out till years later, if ever. So
You're
it's
right.
a big advantage to be able to be involved with this 501c3 like that.
I forgot about
A
that.
lot of
That's a
creative stuff you can
really
do.
great advantage. All right. Um, Hi, Lynn. Lynn here. I said, question, buying parcel. Seller has a warranty deed from a previous seller, but there are several tax deeds previous to that. Grantees prior to that just fall off. Never mention again? Problem.
Well, it's all about the chain of the title, So if Sally deeded it to John, John deeded it to Jack, Jack deeded it to Jill, Jill deeded it to Ernesto, then you're fine. It's all the links in the chain have to connect. The problem is when there's not a link. In a tax deed, one of the links in the chain is the taxing authority or the county or the city. So as long as they're in the chain and they deeded it, I think you're home free.
Mm-hmm.
I love tax deeds like that. No one's
Mm-hmm.
ever going to come back and say it's my property.
Right. When you have one of those, they're golden because they've done 8 years or whatever it is of work and due
Yeah,
diligence, and it's official now. It's done. I mean,
exactly.
that person, they can't come back.
Yep.
And if they have any issues, it's take it up with the county. The county tried to reach you. They took it back. It's over. It's done. The book is closed.
Once a week, I get an email from somebody that says, "Will you please stop talking about that? Will you please stop saying that tax deeds are great and that it washes everything out?" And I email back some stuff that I can't say on the air.
Oh, yeah. So she's saying, does a tax deed wipe out the previous grantee's interest that
Yes,
apparently defaulted? Yeah,
a tax deed,
you're
I think,
right.
is better than title insurance. I'll go argue that with anybody. It's a quiet title action. They have to go
Mm-hmm.
through judicial foreclosure. It's a statutory process. They put it in the paper, the whole thing. I
Mm-hmm.
would argue it's like a seven or like Jill just said, a 5 to 7 or 8 year, depending on the state you're in,
Mm-hmm.
judicial foreclosure slash
Process.
quiet title action.
It's like the
That's way
government.
better than everybody's got a chance to claim the property and they don't. I think any judge would rule for that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Would I buy a skyscraper that way? No.
Exactly.
But for what we do, yeah.
Uh-huh. That's perfect. That's good questions, Lynn. Got it. Different. Luke said the wife has a different name.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what? You're gonna find out, Luke. I know you'll find out, and you'll find a good workaround, which it sounds like you did.
That's Luke's middle name,
Uh-huh.
like you.
Exactly. That's good. Um, Jason, do you purchase title insurance on a property over $5,000 or just close with a title company?
You can't. Well, if anybody out there knows a title company that'll just do escrow, they do not issue a title. I'd love to see that because I've searched for years to find just an escrow company without title insurance, and I can't find one. I haven't looked recently, but boy, that would have been handy. It would be handy now.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the business. They're in the business of. They're an insurance company. Title companies are in the business of underhandedly selling you an insurance policy and convincing you that you can't live without it. And that's all I'll say.
No, it's perfect, and
That's
that's
why we
that's
designed this whole thing.
well, that's the root of all this data, and
Yeah,
that's the root of RealQuest.
right.
It's good data for insurance to back up these
Yeah.
transactions. So that's what we have.
Hey, speaking of that, we have a member who I've spoken with on the Wednesday calls over the consulting calls over the last few months. He's having a tremendously positive experience with a very, very local, small title company. And the guys that he's dealing with he owns a company, and this guy is all over the state. He's doing this. He's doing our members deals for $400 and issuing title policies and doing the whole thing. So used to be not even too long ago. My opinion was go to First American and negotiate a good deal and then figure it all out. Now I'm thinking the mom and pop shops are on the rise and they want the business real bad. So when they find out that you're buying a lot of property, they'll cut you a smoking deal and they'll go to bat for you. So if you know want to get creative with mom and pop.
Hmm.
It's almost like it's reversed now.
Exactly. That's good. Um, hey, Thank you, Albert. This is a great. He put a testimony in here. I bought 10 acres with water rights for $1,100, and the lady gave me a free commercial land. She says she's just tired of paying the
That's
taxes.
awesome. I
See,
mean,
isn't it
that's,
amazing how
you know
this?
why? Because I'll bet you a dollar she just connected with Albert.
She did.
And she liked the guy, liked how he went. He was on,
Well,
did what
she
he
looked
said,
him up.
did,
He's
did what he
he's
said,
he's a legitimate guy.
sent her a check,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing. Nice work, man. That's what this is
Yeah,
all about, Albert. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. That's what
exactly.
this is all about. It's not so much, these calls are meant, we're going to answer anybody's question on these calls, but that it's all about succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of little details. If you get wrapped up in the details, you're never going to buy anything. But if you want to just steamroll over it and get through it, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have that exact experience. And that's great. Congratulations.
Exactly. Luke Smith was saying, if my wife notarizes it, not finding me on some deal, and it's never questioned, I don't see the problem. Agreed. If we get divorced and she's pissed off, and someone questions them, then maybe I got a problem. But really, spent $6,000 on local notaries last
Wow.
year. So I want to say if Luke's averaging $25 a session, wonder how many transactions
Wow.
that is.
It's 55 properties a month.
That's a lot. Huh? That's a lot.
Hey, what you need to do, Luke, remember I said it in the several times in the program and all over the place. Hire somebody. Every time you hire somebody, make sure they go, you can pay for it. Make sure they get licensed as a notary. Everybody in the whole office needs to be a notary.
Yeah.
Your neighbors need to be notaries. And I bet you if you start asking around, like I'm a notary, but I don't tell anybody because my friends show up with car titles in the middle of the night asking me to notarize it if they know that I'm a notary. So a lot of people are notaries. They never told you.
Mm-hmm. Jason has someone in Missouri that did just escrow, a couple $100 to close.
Awesome.
That's
If you
great.
could email,
And Jerry
that's
may have one.
fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
it's if you
If you
guys don't
could
mind
email that
sharing
to either
us.
one of us or to Aaron, that'd be great.
Thank you. Okay, Albert, as Jack and Jill, your thoughts. I'm a real estate broker. Gotcha. Yes. Bad word in LA. LOL. Your thoughts. I'm thinking about using RealQuest to seek listings. Heard anyone
Yes.
doing that?
No,
Oh yeah.
oh my gosh, Albert. So here's
Uh-huh.
the thing. If you look on that is we get that request probably twice a week usually from broker. Well, you're a broker
Mm-hmm.
with like a functioning broker with people under them, and we're developing a product that uses the exact same data set that we all have here to get listings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be an educational program with this whole separate call and the whole thing. So I would we have somebody in the group who's a contractor who's using it. He was using is using RealQuest and as a storm chaser to send out letters wherever it hails, like a week after or 2 days after. So there's a million ways to use RealQuest, and I would absolutely encourage you. Yes, I have heard of people doing that, and I would encourage you to take a look at that real closely. What
Okay.
I wouldn't do is this. I'm sorry, Joe. Send a letter that says two things. Hey, I'd really like to buy your property, and if you don't want to sell it, I'd like to list it. You're shooting yourself in the foot there. I would send letters out that just do one or the other.
Yeah. I love this idea and I'm running it by you. This is Jack. This is Luke Smith's idea. Can we make a list of favorite title guys per state and like a spreadsheet for all of us and we can share?
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be
that's
great? Like we
beautiful.
all input. Can we have it?
Heck yes.
Can we have them send it somewhere or upload it? Or do you want to think about it with our team and see the best way to do it and everybody can input it somewhere?
Yeah, let me talk to it with our now robust IT staff.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think that's a fantastic
Cool.
idea.
And I want to make it secret. I mean, can we make it?
Well,
It's
just
not
for
just for
members.
us.
Yeah, just for
Yeah.
members, sure.
Because yeah, I think that'd be awesome. And then you could say, hey, as you're working with, hey, Sally at Mercury Title, you are really great in this state. You mind if I spread your name around? And she'll probably go, heck yeah, please do, and I'll give everybody 10% off or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Or get your deal done fast and on time, not even with 10%. That in and of itself is awesome.
Justin has one too. A small company in Idaho, and they do not do title insurance unless the buyer requests it. This is fantastic. Okay, good.
Justin, have you done deals in Idaho? Because that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a small feat.
Albert said,
It's great.
You're right. And she said that she had another offer for more money, but she liked me and trusted me.
That's it. That's the Jill
Bingo.
thing.
That's
Dude,
it. I've had that
you
too.
are off
That's
to
it.
you're off to the races.
That's it.
That's great.
Perfect. And now, if anybody knows anything, she'll send them your way. Or if she knows any family with something, she'll send them your way. Brian Gents, newbie question. And I'm going to wrap it up with just these two last here, and then we're going to do your tip of the week. You suggested starting to buy properties where you can go and take good pictures. I live in San Bernardino, but my problem is that properties here are more expensive than elsewhere. True. Well, you can still do stuff in San Bern. I have about 30G to play with. Would you recommend starting further out with lower priced properties or San Bernardino with good picks? I'm a photographer by trade. Oh, good to
I'm an accountant by trade, and that's why I don't do my own taxes.
know. That's
I can
true.
see you going out there and
We don't
shooting,
need those professional.
bringing a tent and shooting a masterpiece,
Exactly. He's gonna have a model standing on there
and wasting like 2 weeks of his life
for the best lighting.
to find the perfect blade of grass on that property.
Rick, can we?
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
No, all kidding aside, if you have $30,000, I would do the double your money thing. I would do the buy a piece of property, open a separate bank account, buy a piece of property, sell it, buy a piece of property, double it, four grand, 8 grand, 16 grand, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And when you get to a number that you're real comfortable with, I think a lot of times we get all bogged down in the details of all this and how to deed stuff and things. And we forget that 4 grand, we can turn $4,000 into 8,000 and 8,000 into 12 and 18 and 16 and then 16 to 30 and on and on and on. And, I'm glad you brought that up.
Don't be afraid of going outside your area.
Yeah, I would, yeah,
I would jump to Kern if you want to stay in California, or just
I wouldn't.
I don't know. There's all kinds of places up. I love Northern California.
Yeah, not current. I
Okay,
would,
not Kern. Northern
yeah,
California. So
or Southern Oregon or any of that. All that area is really good for all this.
totally. And don't worry about taking your own pictures because you don't want to get bogged down.
Mhm.
All right. Justin has been in Idaho for 10 years. Tough to do, but works slowly. Okay, last one. Should we exclude other works wholesalers on Land Watch when trying to determine the market value for a property? Totally. Can you identify them? Only because I know who they are when I see
Yeah, because
them.
they're part of our group.
And exactly. I can.
You got to apply common sense, and you really have to apply some common sense to this. Again, I wish there was just an equation. There probably is. There's probably algorithms based on historic whatever, if you can get the right data. But you know, you just if there's trees, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, and then if there's just no trees,
Hmm.
the more attributes the property has, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. The closer it is to an urban area, it's going to be on top of that a little bit more expensive. So you have to really um, logically look at pricing. That's what my tip of the day is.
Hmm.
My tip of the is it time now for my
Just
tip
about.
of the day?
Yes, it is time for your tip of the week. Thank you.
Oh, tip of the week,
Hmm.
tip of the tongue. So, man, I get some of the craziest looks from this woman.
Because I'm trying to keep you up here, Jack. Keep it up here.
My tip of the week is pricing. So, I really wish that I could just say, County X, you price it at 138 an acre, and County Y, you price it at 222. But it takes some practice, and it takes probably a couple of small failures to really see that wow, I priced that wrong, or I priced that too high, or I priced that too low. What you want to keep in mind is you always want to start, always want to start, and this is the tip, when you price something, with what you think you can sell it for, and then what you think that person can sell it for. So you back into it. Here's what you don't want to do when you price property. You don't want to just say, you know what, I'm going to send an offer to every single property owner that has 5 acres in X County for $500. Now let's just see what happens. I mean, you can do that. You're going to upset a ton of people, and you're probably going to buy a ton of property. And you're going to spend way more on the mailer than you needed to, and you're not really learning anything. You want to price these properties really intelligently. So you take what you think you can sell it for pretty quickly. I always say, in 2 weeks, can I sell this property for 10 grand? Then I'm absolutely willing to pay $2,000 or $3,000 for it, maybe even up to five. So pricing property, the price per acre is not the gauge, and you never ever want to use the assessed value in an equation in any way. The only reason that you use assessed value at all is to gauge which property in one county may be it's relative to the next one. So if one's assessed for $100,000 and one's assessed for 10,000, you have a pretty good idea of who's going to respond to a $2,000 offer. Let's say it's not the $100,000 one. So always start with what you think you can sell it for. Cut that in half, and then theoretically cut it in half again, 25% to 40%. With houses, it's different, but land, that's how we do it. Right, Jill?
That was perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for a wonderful call, and hope you all have a wonderful week. And we will catch you the same
See
time,
you the same time next week.
same place.
Thank you.
Bye.